Did you get everything that you wanted for Christmas? Did you get everything on your list? Every year at Christmas, volunteer forces of reenactors converge on both banks of this river, somewhere in New Jersey, along with thousands of people from across the nation and around the world, to stand witness to the beginning of what has gone down in history as the 10 days that saved America. It was a final examination for a student in American leadership after a less than stellar semester and dismal midterm grades on his report card to the Second Continental Congress, convening not too far away in Philadelphia. Yet, like the people on this bridge, a courageous experiment in democracy was not sure of its way. In July, after a year of inaction, only the persevering pressure of the obnoxious and disliked man from Massachusetts, a certain John Adams by name, pushing them to action had resulted in action, manifested in a bold declaration of independence from the tyranny of the British Crown. Like the people on this narrow bridge, there were some who just stopped to enjoy the present view, and others who were turning back, not willing to press on, despite all that they had gone through and all that they had done just to get there. While the man from Massachusetts bargained for resources for an army in the field, like saltpeter for gunpowder, in exchange for sewing pens, a gentleman from Virginia, General George Washington, wrote prolifically to those 54 delegates in Philadelphia to maintain the courage of their convictions and supply the only army that was fighting in the field to stay the sentence of execution that they had signed for themselves only months before. And in his freshman year at final examination time, with the enlistment contracts of his volunteer army expiring at year's end, General Washington needed desperately to score a victory to keep the revolution going. The British had taken New York City, supported by the Tories loyal to the British Crown, and Hessians were setting in for a winter encampment in central New Jersey, where General Washington assembled his army, 2,400 men strong, across a small river to launch a surprise attack from Pennsylvania, where the Continental Congress convened. And in that desperate hour, in a stone house on the banks of a small river separating Delaware and New Jersey, a national leader was born because he had to be more than just a leader of an army in the field, rallying them to fight for just one more week, rather than enjoying a long-deserved rest before returning home after their contracts were up. First-time visitors to this location are often surprised, like those visiting the Rubicon where Julius Caesar made fame burning a bridge, at how small the river actually is today, and even more astonished to learn that it is far wider today than it was 2.5 centuries ago through process of natural erosion. And despite its bold relief depiction in history books, with reproductions of the famous picture that have inserted characters as far apart as Muppets and Disney characters to figures from African American history and the New Avengers, the question that remained for the academic skeptic is why General Washington mounted such a logistics effort, enlisting private seacraft to cross this small river that at varying times, even in winter, you could literally walk across. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and a gentleman farmer became perhaps the best salesman that the American politics has ever known. Like General Stanley McChrystal often asked during his military career, he asked, "What must the organization I command do and be? And how can I best command to achieve that?" Don't you think it's time for leaders to get out of the business of just selling and back into the business of leadership? leadership? Do you think it's time for everything else to get out of the way? Like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did on Christmas Eve, let's make a resolution to set a destination to where we want to be next year in Jerusalem. It's an invitation to a better place, and the journey starts right here and right now. Make your travel plans to cross that river towards Washington, and by George, I think he's got it. Make your travel plans to cross that river towards Washington, and think leadership before you buy. By George, I think he's got it. Make your travel plans to cross that river towards Washington. Stop and think before you buy. Leadership. And by George, I think he's got it. Keeping the faith in the eighth. Let's make America great again. Honest. was authorized by Mike West.